In today's Blue Rush, we're going to talk about the state of the franchise, relive some of the glory years, and of course, we're going to talk about where the Giants should go from here with two-time Super Bowl champ running back Brandon Jacobs. Big bro, thanks for hopping on with this, man. Weird times we're in right now for the Giants, and I've always come to you with advice on the field, off the field. You were a leader of the team back in 2007, and what's your time with the Giants? From watching, bro, there was so much hope in the spring and the summer going into this season. What's going wrong, man? Like, you're a leader. What is going wrong with this Giants season this year?
Well, from outside looking in, there's not a shortage of players. I think we have decent coaches. I don't understand the the amount of influence that one player has had as in Scatterable. We were doing great offensively when he was, when he was touching the ball. But we lost him on the nasty, gruesome ankle injury, leg injury, whatever have you, and just the energy hadn't been the same. It hadn't been the same ever since. And Dart, I love Jackson Dart. I thought that that we should have drafted him. I thought that was the right pick for the New York Giants. I thought he was a quarterback that can come in and do some things for us that we've never seen before from a quarterback position. Getting yards with his feet, just making a lot of plays, extending plays, and doing a lot of great things, having swag and just bringing that type of confidence to the locker room that the New York Giants had never had at that position. I love Eli. So to say has never had at that position, I just mean the type of quarterback he is and
Yeah.
his characteristics and his demeanor. That's more about what I'm talking about. I need to clear that up. People say I'm trying to throw Eli under the bus.
Yeah.
So um, just that type of thing. Like Eli was a quiet guy. He had other guys on the team to do that stuff that he didn't do. The lead, the loud leading and stuff like that. He led with his play. And I think Jackson Dart is going to be the quarterback for the New York Giants in the future. I think him and Scatterbull is going to be two guys going together now. Defensively, I don't understand. I mean, we got the defensive front, the best defensive front, on one of the top two or three defensive fronts in the NFL. We getting pressure on passers. I think Burns is sitting at about 10 sacks right now. Um, you know, Not even to midseason at this point. So I think that our defensive line is was looked at to be the strongest part of our defense. Now, giving up 30 points a game on why that's going the way it has so far. Now, the cookie never crumbled the way you wanted to. The cookies never crumble the way you wanted to, and in saying that, you can have all the best weapons on your team, but the stuff may not necessarily gel the way you think is going to. So I just think we need a little bit more time to, like together, I think every time I do an interview about the New York Giants, I feel like I'm making up excuse after excuse every year when I do interviews. But I really truly feel like this particular team is the best New York Giants team that we've had in a while on paper. Um, I think when Malik Neighbors went down, I think we should have used that opportunity to bring in another wide receiver that can help us. Um, on offense. I don't know why the Giants chose to not do that, whatever their option is. Obviously, I support whatever the reason was. But if I was the one in charge, I would have definitely looked to bring another wide receiver in, and in some way to come, and that's a veteran that can come in and help us right now that may have been out there, or possibly make a trade for somebody to come in and be able to help us. So I mean, it's a lot of different things. I think the running game has been great. Scatterable turned that up. Now you got Devin in the game. I think he's doing good. I would like to see more Tyrone Tracy, obviously. But I think, like, on and on, I think the offense has turned up a little bit more than we've seen in past years. Uh, just hope to get better going down. From this point forward.
When you turn on the tape and we see things like the penalties, we see things fans calling out players for lack of effort. Stuff like that wouldn't have flown in the locker room with you guys, with Antonio Pierce, with Michael Strahan. So now at 2-7, without trying to be too much of a rah-rah guy, like who needs to step up within the locker room to try and get guys to stop shooting themselves in the foot? You know what I mean? Like, it's the Giants versus the Giants at times. So like how I get, like, how was a leader born? How do they, the leaders in that locker room, like, how do you address all of that?
Well, seems like you got to tread light and walk on eggshells as a leader nowadays, with the way things are going. I think guys are firing back a little bit too much when held accountable by your peer. And I think that's more of the problem why guys just typically stay to themselves. Like if I was a leader on this team, I probably wouldn't say much, because I know trying to hold a guy accountable for something that I know as his teammate that he can do much better than what he's doing, he may not like that. It can it can get really ugly in those situations. So I don't know how I would handle this specific team as a leader. Now, I think Dexter Lawrence is a leader, and I think he's vocal, and I think he speaks out when something's wrong. I think Burns is a leader. I think those guys speak out about stuff when they feel like things are wrong. Now, here's my issue: who's the leader on the offensive team? Who's the leader for the offense? That typically is a quarterback. But will these veterans listen to a rookie quarterback? Will they take what he's saying and take it to heart and do something about it, or they'll tell him, man, shut up, you're a rookie, you don't know a whole lot about what we going through as veterans and been losing and so on and so forth, right? So, who is that leader on the offensive side of the ball, right? Is it Andrew Thomas or your stud left tackle, who might be one of the best in the league? Is it him? Um, I don't know, but who's the leader on the offensive side of the ball that can get the team to respond? Who is it? We don't know.
You talked about how the Giants, you think that the Giants should have went out and grabbed a playmaking wide receiver for Jackson Dart once Malik Neighbors went down. So, one, where are you at with your evaluation with Jackson Dart up to this point? And two, how are we supposed to evaluate him if he doesn't have that alpha receiver on the in the perimeter?
Well, I think the evaluation of a Jackson Dart is over. That's the Giants quarterback. There is no evaluation going on there. He is the starting quarterback for the New York Football Giants until he is no longer playing football anymore or on this team. He is our quarterback, and I think me and you both and all the hundreds of thousand fans around the world could agree that Jackson Dart is our guy. And I like that idea.
Yep.
However, he can't drop back and take off and take these hits every time. It's not that these guys aren't open. I don't know. I haven't watched the end zone copy of a whole bunch of these games. I just only see things on TV, right? So there's a whole lot that they don't show you on TV. There's a whole lot of stuff that the average fan doesn't really see or know what's going on, But I do think he needs a threat at wide receiver to be successful, and I think we're good. I don't know what's up with Hyatt. I don't know why he's not playing. I don't know. I thought I'd see more of him when Malik went down. I haven't seen that much of him. Slayton has been there. I'm not saying that these guys aren't great, but I do think that we do need somebody that we had. I thought for sure we'd get an opportunity to see Odell Beckham again this year. Even before the Malik Neighbors injury, I thought week 2 would have came and they would have picked him as a veteran, how the contract stuff goes. But I thought we would have been seeing him from week 2 on. But we never saw that. But it's going to be hard to evaluate. If they're still evaluating Jackson Dart, it's going to be hard to evaluate him with what we have on offense.
He's sitting at 2-7 right now. Trade deadline Tuesday, 4 p.m. If you're Joe Schoen, you buying or you selling, and who?
I mean, I'm definitely going to make a trade before that deadline, and I'm going to offer something. Maybe I'm going to get a guy who's right now in his prime that hasn't reached his contract negotiation yet. That's a young guy coming into the league. Um,
What position? What position would you go for?
I'm going wide receiver for sure. I'm going wide receiver for sure. Now, maybe not as high as that I thought. I like, maybe a guy that can come in that's going to be a real number two and a real number two wide receiver for next year, because they have to take that in consideration when Malik Neighbors come back. We can't we can't go and do too much with the trade deadline, because we do have Malik Neighbors coming back next year as our number one guy. So you got to go out and get a guy that can come be a number one guy now, that will be okay being a number two wide receiver next year, that we can possibly give a contract to, and they can be these two guys. Like, a lot of these teams have two guys at wide receiver now that they pay. Now I know the Giants isn't going to do what the Cincinnati Bengals did and pay like a Jamar Chase, that type of bread, and have another guy that they're also giving that type of bread to. So it's very tricky when it comes to it, you know. But I would definitely go out and try to find me a guy at wide receiver that can be my number one guy now, that I can give my quarter that I can have to add to what we have, and just have and sit down and meet with some of these wide receivers we have on the team. Like, hey man, listen, y'all got to get it together. You know, you got to hold them accountable, and that has to come from upstairs. That's what it has to come from, upstairs. Sit down and talk to these guys. They've never had to do that, and I guess that's why they're like, we never had to do that to any guys who get involved in what's going on in the locker room. They never had to do that. But right now, what we got, and I'm not saying the guys we got that can't play, but nobody seemed to be getting open. No one seemed to be getting open. Jackson Dart seemed to try to do a lot on his feet, and he's taking hits. He's wearing down, and that's what you don't want your quarterback to be, to wear down, throughout the 4 quarters. You got to find some guys. Guys got to get open. You got to run some screens and, use the pressure against the defense, because they've been doing a lot of blitzing and pressuring, and, they're trying to throw hot, man. Throw some screens and get these guys to slow down. Change the snap count. Stop these guys from trying to tee off on, on your quarterback. Like, you have to do stuff like that to try to neutralize the defense and get them, thinking versus just coming. So definitely a wide receiver would definitely help us. And honestly, I thought the offensive line hadn't done bad this year. I thought that they've done a good job. I thought they've done a really good job. Like during the season. I just think we need another threat at wide receiver.
Lastly, if you could talk to this team right now, they brought you in like they normally do. If you could talk to this team right now, no cameras in the locker room, just straight talk, like you used to talk to us in the locker room, what would you say to this Giant squad?
Well, what I see I see the same team I see the same team wearing the same uniform, taking the field every week. But each one of those guys in that uniform is bringing a different. Uh, 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 some seem disinterested, but even though we got the same uniform on, but some people bring a different degree of hunger. We got the same uniform on, but we all aren't as hungry as the other man. Burns seemed like he's hungry.
Yeah.
He seemed like he's hungry. He's trying to get after it. He's showing it. He wearing it on his sleeve. He seemed hungry. Right. So I need to see 53 guys like that. I need to see 53 guys going out there and wearing their emotions on their sleeve, and letting people know how much it matters to them that they're successful as a team, playing New York Giants hard-hitting football, wearing your lunch, you got your lunch bill and you have your hard hat. You're going to work every single day to be as successful as you can, and just leaving everything on the field. I don't know what I would tell the team, man. Honestly, you're 2-7. What do you want to hear from anybody for? Are they taking the information in? 2-7. Excuse me, but it's kind of difficult to talk to a team at this point when you're 2-7 and you're already out of the dance. You got to win out the rest of the season to even be considered. And it just doesn't seem like they're playing with any swag or belief in their abilities to be able to be successful. They're just out there playing through 4 quarters, seem like to me. And that's what I'm looking at. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. Then what's the problem? It just seems like they're taking the field because they're healthy, and that's not going to bring in any wins. You know, they got to act like they want it. They got to, well, I guess not act like they want it. They have to perform like they want it. Because like you want it, obviously, is not getting it done right now. So.
B. Jacobs, man, you always know I always love talking ball with you, man. Appreciate you taking the time out to hang and talk with us, bro. You're a legend.
You're London. I appreciate you, brother. You're doing a good job, man.
Thanks, bro.